Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're doing well. Justin Walsh with we are going to get started here in a little bit. In the meantime, I have my handy dandy hand sanitizer. I'm going to go ahead and although we're not in one of our corporate offices today, we're still going to be safe. And so I'm going to use my hand sanitizer to get us started today. Hope you're all doing well. We're going to get going here in about 30 seconds. Just wait for other people to log in and start going. Again, good afternoon for those that are joining. We are going to give this a couple more seconds and then we will kick this off. All right. Again, Justin Walsh with Rhino Tool House. One of our main mission statements, as we've reiterated several times to you over the past several weeks, is to identify and deliver the world's most innovative assembly solutions on the market today. Today, we're going to dive into a company called PaR Systems and their ExpertOperator. It is a great system to add on for cranes, overhead cranes inside of manufacturing sites. But before I begin, let me stop real quick. I'm going to tell you a little side story that's been pretty funny to me. It happened recently. As most people in the world today, you are working from home. You have to juggle the nature of being a teacher, being the nurse at your house, at home, also being still the cook, still cleaning your house and everything. My kids, they so often come into the office and they wait until I'm done. But one of the other days I was on a conference call with a customer and one of my daughters came in and she had full makeup done, her hair done. And it was a dramatic experience where they wanted to play dress up that I spit my water out while talking on the phone with a customer. And I got all over my computer, got all over the desk. So I thought it was a pretty funny, event that happened to me working from home. I hope you guys are all staying safe out there today. So let's dive into the ExpertOperator from PaR Technologies. So what the additional add-on with ExpertOperator does, it offers really three main critical pieces for you as our customer. The first thing is it reduces sway by as much as 95% on a normal overhead working crane. It increases your productivity by up to 43%, and it can reduce maintenance expenses along with streamlining your training programs. Customers like Caterpillar, Hyundai, Kia, Alcoa, Cummins, General Motors, Nucor Steel, Johnson Controls, and more have integrated PaR ExpertOperator into their facilities today. Now, we have today Ron Holmes online with us, who's going to go over PaR and the ExpertOperator. Ron, welcome. Please run us through what is the ExpertOperator.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate your time and everybody else's in this opportunity. I am going to, are you seeing my screen, I think, on your end?
We are not.
Okay.
There you go.
And how about that?
Before we get started, if anybody wants to view both screens, please go to your view options on the top of your screen and click side-by-side mode. During the presentation, if you do have any questions, please make sure to type those in the chat window. We will get to a Q&A after this presentation. Thank you very much. Take it away.
Okay, hopefully what you're seeing on your screens is the initial slide I have with PaR Systems logo and ExpertOperator Advanced Crane Controls. Steve, if you could just confirm that.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what I want to talk about today is a really innovative product that comes from PaR Systems, who are based up in Shoreview, Minnesota, right outside of St. Paul. It's an excellent system that has proven itself industrially time and time again. The big benefits of that Expert Operator brings, Justin touched on some of these, are the productivity improvement of 10 to 50% for the crane productivity, how many moves it can make and how and a particular day, or how well it can do its job. A safety improvement along with that of up to 90%. Reduction in maintenance expense and crane downtime of up to 70%, as well as a reduced operator training time requirement. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video now, because most of what I'm going to show you is are videos that we'll be pushing out. We just want to make sure there's plenty of bandwidth so we get you the best picture possible. So that being said, let's go into our first video. This is a nice overview of the PaR system, and gives you, say, 50,000 feet worth of what is it, how does it do it, and what's the scope.
As a crane operator, you know that moving your payload isn't as simple as going from point A to point B. Load swing is dangerous and reduces productivity. Anti-sway technology reduces load swing as you navigate to your destination. But not all anti-sway technology is created equal. ExpertOperator is a completely sensorless anti-sway technology. It does not require encoders, cameras, sling length measurements, operator input, load cells, or any other data required by competing technologies. Because ExpertOperator is sensorless, it's easy to install and even easier to maintain. It also performs consistently and predictably, reducing load swing by over 95% regardless of the load or rigging. ExpertOperator works by intercepting operator commands, then modifying those commands into what a seasoned expert would generate. The modified commands are then issued to the crane. This allows novice operators to drive as proficiently as their experienced counterparts, moving loads safely in a swing-free, efficient manner. In fact, ExpertOperator has been shown to significantly accelerate operator training by improving the rate at which the novice operators learn to drive safely and efficiently. Ordinarily, controlling a swinging load requires a high level of concentration. This increased focus reduces an operator's situational awareness and can result in dangerous collisions. ExpertOperator makes cranes safer by making them easier to drive. This enhances an operator's ability to monitor the situation around them. ExpertOperator is retrofittable and is compatible with virtually all pendants, radios, motors, and drives. Because no sensors or special operator inputs are required, ExpertOperator can be installed in just a few hours. This also enables ExpertOperator to work with any hook height, any payload, and any rigging configuration. Put simply, ExpertOperator works on every load, every time. With ExpertOperator, you can move payloads with increased safety, increased productivity, and reduced training time. Contact us today to use ExpertOperator tomorrow.
Okay, I hope everybody got that in a nice frame rate, so it wasn't too choppy. Now here we're going to look at a simple two-axis move on a crane, 100-ton crane, and you can see here a counterweight for an excavator, and you can see just how much movement comes in to the process. Now on that same crane, if we activate the ExpertOperator system and then perform the same move with the same load, what we will see is this right here. Now, this is completely different behavior. When the load gets to destination, it is stable enough to immediately be put down. That's one of the key things that gets you that productivity benefit, is that the load is always stable at the end of the wire rope. And in this case, it's the end of the wire rope, the hook, the chains, and the connections to the counterweight. Now here we'll see a side-by-side operation on a production crane. You can see there on the left in that initial window the ExpertOperator panel that would be mounted up on the crane itself. We can see the operator in the left where he's using the crane without EO. And here you see the movement that's as he stops, and he's doing something he should not do right there. It is always very dangerous to get near the load into the zone below the hook where that load could come if something went wrong. And he's trying to stop with his 250 or so pound body, a 12.5 or 13 ton coil, thinks he's going to impact that sway. He's got just about tunnel vision here, not terribly aware of the situation around him, and he's still trying to wrestle that coil and get it placed. On the right, though, with ExpertOperator, he's safely away from the load, able to go over, get it placed, put the chock down, and go get his next pick. On the left, he's still struggling, trying to get that load stable enough to be able to take it down to the ground. And again, this is one of those key areas of productivity enhancement that comes from EO. Now, at the same time, the weight of that coil at 12.5 tons or 13 tons, whatever it is much higher when it's at the edge of that sway, even on small movements like that. So that's one of the areas that we also improve, is by reducing the mechanical stresses on your cranes from swinging loads. Your crane's going to operate better and need less service, less repair, and have fewer breakdowns and less downtime. You can see some of the highlights here. I don't like to read slides, so I'm not going to read these to you. But it is a highly robust system and has proven itself in industry now for easily the last more than 10 years. I've been active with it for the last decade. It's an excellent product, and it stands up to the day-to-day rigors in industrial environments. Here we'll see another video, this time with coil steel. This operator's very first time using this crane. He's got the coil in the grab, and you can see a lot of swinging, a lot of swaying. And this steel coil, now to an uninformed person, that might just seem like, oh, it's just metal. Well, you know, this coil could be destined to become an outer body panel on a vehicle, an A body panel. And so you really have to be careful with that coil to make sure that you don't lose part of the product that the company bought to damage from banging it into other coils or banging it into the bollards that we can see here. But with ExpertOperator now, his very second move on this crane, he's just ready to take it, move it into position, set it down, not damage the coil, not damage any of the equipment in the space, and not put anybody else at risk. Now, lest you think that ExpertOperator is limited to only loads that are nice and tight center of gravity and all right below the hook, here we're going to see a bar stock move. This is also bar stock. This is bar stock steel. They also do some coils we'll see here a little bit later. But here it's a totally different load profile, very elongated. We've got not a coil grab, but a very long tool that the bar stock is put into to be able to make this move. And you'll see the moment, or the pendulum effect here, is very different than we saw with the coil. You'll see a very deep sway, and if you're getting choppy video, just try to notice the extent of how far down the tip of that bar stock goes at the end of this move. Now, this move in this particular facility would take up to about 4.5 minutes, and it was made all the time, every day. The operator has a couple of choices here. He can wait until the load settles out and have a 4-minute, 30-second move, or he could try, maybe he might be tempted to see if he could time it and get it down on the ground without banging things around too much. But if he did that, he might damage the product, the payload itself, or the pickup tool that he's got. Now, if we look again, same crane, same load, this time under ExpertOperator control, we're going to see very different behavior. Now, any of you who are tending towards doubt may say, hey, that's got a little bit of sway in it. And yes, it does. But that little bit of sway is one of the configuration choices you have in ExpertOperator. You can accept some sway because it's not so bad. What we'll see here is it's going to tip down just a little bit, settle out, and be ready to put down. Now this move is down to about 1:15 seconds. The operator is not tempted to damage the equipment or the product or any of the crane mechanism. He's just ready to go ahead and place it down. That's part of the way that Expert Operator can be tuned to particular use cases so that you get the safest and the fastest crane and aren't constantly dialed up waiting for a 99% sway removal move pattern to happen, because there is a little bit of trade-off in how exactly fast a move happens in that type of scenario. If you're at 95%, it's a little faster than 98. Sometimes 90% sway reduction might be more in line with what you would need. Now this operator, he is a doubting Thomas. He's an experienced operator and doesn't think he needs anything to make that crane more safer. So he's trying to show that he can defeat the anti-sway. What he's going to do here is what's called a full reverse plug. He gets the crane going completely in one direction at full speed and then immediately reverses and says, nope, now go the other way. Doesn't induce any sway. And even as he flies that around trying to move it in multiple axes at once, that bearing is stable and he's able to take it and put it down. And if you do some lip reading there, you can see he said it was pretty good. These next shots give you a little bit of a foretaste of some of our more advanced products beyond Expert Operator. Here, we're seeing the auto move system where we can add sensors to it, in this case lasers that allow us to know the X and the Y position of the crane. And we can now automatically control the crane in however many axes we need to. It may just be, as I think we're doing here, in bridge and trolley axes, where we're moving a load completely stable at the end of the slings and placing it into a regrind system that's actually quite expensive to repair from collisions with payloads. But by making that destination preset, we can make the operator more efficient. Here we get a little bit closer view to see exactly how precise you can be in controlling these cranes. Now that hook and bottom block is probably a few hundred pounds at the end of a long wire rope. There's very little movement at the end of it, and the camera was actually never at risk from that action. Now another thing we can do if we add those lasers to it is our Safe Move product. And in a lot of industrial environments, you have a lot of hardware, you have a lot of equipment, you have areas we don't want the crane to go to. Well, in this case, instead of trying to put the crane onto a particular location, we want to keep it out of things. We want to prevent the payload and the crane itself from interacting with any of these systems that are identified. Safe Move does exactly that. And it gives you a great deal of flexibility as to in how you deploy it. You're not limited to the sort of linear shapes that you would if you were doing this with switches and relays. All the green area that you see there on that video is protected. Here the operator's testing that by trying to fly the hook straight into the mezzanine, and it just comes to a stop. So we back up and try again, straight in the mezzanine, full speed, and it just comes to a stop. So no matter what he does, he can't fly that inadvertently into the equipment, nor can he sway it into the equipment. So he can't get enough sway going to cause it to swing in and damage something. So he's protected, and your shop is protected from that inadvertent distraction that can sometimes happen. I've been in plenty of industrial facilities. There's a lot of loud noises. You hear people shouting sometimes, and you might look away at that critical wrong time of a move, and that could cause a problem. And this bird's eye view, actually, if you think back to what we saw in the previous video, this is the sort of overlay that we can put on your industrial tablet to help you set your no-fly zones and then maintain and manage them as you go through your production. A lot of times customers, when they change something about the shop floor, might want to go back and address where their no-fly zones are. If they took one of those jib cranes out of the picture, they might then want to allow the crane to go into that space. Here we're going to see a crane that has been made just about to a robot. This is touchscreen control. Now, there's a lot to check, a lot of things to prepare for before we take a crane to this point. But here, auto move is controlling up hoist, down hoist, bridge, and trolley axis movement. Clearly, you wouldn't want to do this unless you had access control so that no people or automatic guided carts or vehicles, no forklift, no nothing, no external things can come into this workspace while this robotic operation is happening. But if your site is suited to that, as this aluminum facility was, then it can go as far as to control the crane as if it were a robot. And when we're doing this, we're able to make the crane highly efficient by sticking to the fastest path to get from the position we start to the destination. And we're able to be highly accurate with how we position the loads. Now, we've done all kinds of variants on auto move. I know another aluminum facility where we had some ingots that were coming out of ovens to be made into rolled out product, but along with sort of a sandwich of other metals to make into an alloy that they'd roll out. The two guys that needed to operate the crane were several hundred feet apart, and we set up an auto move system with pitch and catch for controls. So the mill operator could pitch the control over to the furnace operator and vice versa as they needed to, as loads were coming out of the furnaces, going to the mill, and then as the crane was finished at the mill, sending the control back to the furnace operator. Now, this video shows us two of the most dangerous things when moving heavy payloads, and that are snag conditions and side pulls or side loads. So what we're going to see here is on the left side, the crane does not have our crane vision system active on it or ExpertOperator, and on the right side, the crane vision system is active. Crane vision uses machine vision to detect these two dangerous situations and to prevent incidents. And so what we'll see here on the left is the snag's going to happen, and the crane's a very powerful tool. It just keeps going. But on the right, the snag condition was detected and the crane came to a stop. In automotive, where they have die sets that are big enough to stamp out your truck bed or your hood or your side panel or your body side panel on something as large even as a full-size van, you can think about how large is the die that has to be able to stamp out a hood on an F-150 or a Toyota Tacoma. In those situations where you have dies out in the die field, that snag can happen when the operator does not first go up to travel height before moving the slings or getting before getting bridge and trolley axis motion going as well. And so we've had several cases where snags happened, and we were able to detect those in situations where they had happened and people had gotten injured, and even some fatalities, and prevented those situations. Now, the other very dangerous thing in that sort of environment, whether it's a coil field or a die field, is wanted to restart. The video wanted to restart, so we'll let this play through. But the other thing is a side load. Now, a side load condition is where you're not centered with the wire rope over the load. And so now what we're going to see is a pretty violent swing in that payload when it comes off the ground. In a crane vision protected crane, then the crane can automatically center itself, as we see it doing here, before picking up. So it makes minor adjustments until it gets that side load condition out of the way, or it gets it corrected. Side pull conditions, I know of several deaths in industry that have happened from side loaded lifts taking place. Now, there are a couple other configurations that we can deploy with this, depending on what's appropriate for either the facility preference or for how the facility needs to operate. As we saw here, it can automatically make the correction. You can also be configured to have the system make a correction based on an auto centering button that we might add to the control, so the operator can go into an auto centering process. And then there's also the option to just say, okay, if we have a side load condition detected, stop the hoist, allow no other movement than down. And in that case, the operator would have to go through, become a better crane operator by having to take another look at how he's positioned over his load and how he's going to resolve his side pull condition. Now, some of the users, and Justin touched on some of these, we go from primary metals to finished metals to industrial manufacturers, automotive, excavator companies, all sorts of different industrial users have put ExpertOperator on cranes from a few tons up to hundreds of tons. And as I said before, we deliver a lot of value for those customers. And again, having been in automation and industrial systems now for 20 plus years, it is really rare that you see a system like ExpertOperator that gives you a productivity improvement along with an improvement in safety. And all of these numbers that you see here, I do have data to back that up. So if anybody wants to throw down and say, okay, hey, Ron, prove it, I'd be happy to do that. Just get with your local Rhino guy, Rhino Toolhouse guy, and we can set a time for a more specific meeting to your requirements, or we'd be happy to share data as well. But again, a 10 to 50% productivity improvement, a 90% improvement in safety, 70% decrease in maintenance requirements and crane downtime, and up to an 8 times decrease in training time. So you can greatly accelerate the time to take a new hire into being an effective crane operator. One of the things I've seen in industry over the last 8 or 10 years is there are a lot of people that have, a lot of good employees that have been around a long time, but they're reaching retirement age, and so that you have a younger cohort of people coming in, and the ExpertOperator system helps to make that newer employee as good as your most experienced, and at the same time provides a backstop of backup to best practice for him in the moves he's going to make on that crane. Might also get you some flexibility in your production systems, because instead of having just a few set crane operator people that have been through the intensive trainings and the refreshes, that you can let more people operate the crane and not have the wait time for an operator to free up and potentially come do a move. That's the extent of my presentation. I want to thank everybody for their time and attention. And I will throw it back to you, Justin, for questions.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate your time today. I want to go into some quick, there we go. Hopefully we're back now. Wanted to go into some quick Q&A sessions on what we have. Again, as we continue to talk, we would like to make sure that you enter any of your questions and answers inside the chat in the bottom right-hand corner, and we'll go through that here for a little bit. So, Ron, if you can hear me, one of the first questions that we brought up is in the very beginning of your presentation. You did show a video that says that the ExpertOperator works with most existing pendants and radios. Can you tell us a little bit about what a customer would have to do to get ready to integrate ExpertOperator?
Sure. Yeah, we'll the one base level requirement for ExpertOperator is that the crane is controlled by variable frequency drives. As long as we have that, then we're good to install ExpertOperator. We're really indifferent to whether the crane has a pendant, a wired pendant, or a radio. What ExpertOperator is doing is up on the crane, intercepting the commands coming from either of those, and then making adjustments to those, as was shown in that very first video. So what you use to create the crane commands doesn't impact us.
Great, thanks,
Ron.
Ron.
Really quick, before we go to the next question, can you activate your video, Ron, just so everybody can see you?
Yep.
Got a question from Todd. It says, does RTH do install and commissioning? So RTH being Rhino Toolhouse Group. Yes, we will do the install and commissioning work for you of the ExpertOperator in guidelines and with the help of PaR and Ron themselves.
Yeah.
Another question we have here. Go ahead, Ron.
Sorry, Justin. I just wanted to comment on that. As far as the channel partners that I've had with the PaR ExpertOperator system, Rhino Toolhouse is head and shoulders above any of the other operators with project experience and having put the system into a number of large, very demanding, big industrial customers.
Thank you, Ron, for the comment. Second question: how does the system handle every load and every rigging configuration?
Well, that's interesting. I'm tempted to say black magic, but the reality is what's going on up there is 50 times a second, the system is evaluating the incoming information from the operator about what he wants the crane to do, and solving for how to make that move without sway. And so with that sort of processing speed, all it has to do is find a certain set of solutions and then choose the solution that will work most efficiently in time. So it's actually a significant improvement over a previous generation that research had found. And it's one of the key things that makes ExpertOperator better than any other system out there, is because it is able to solve for all rigging configurations and make a move without sway and do it without significantly impacting move time.
Great, thanks for the answer, Ron. I've got a question from Eric. The price question: is there a budgetary price range for ExpertOperator if you're installing one system and install?
It really will depend on the particulars of the crane. While ExpertOperator is a standard product, every crane is different. And what we'd want to look at is there'll be three components to the cost, the delivered cost to a manufacturer. There's the system itself, the installation, and the commissioning. And those two service-heavy components will be very dependent on what's the nature of that facility. So I'm hesitant to just throw out a number here, but it is something that has proven time and again to be a very good addition. Usually, it will be in the realm of a capital expenditure. It's not something where somebody's just going to say, "Oh yeah, we can put that on the P card."
Yeah, thanks for that clarification, Ron. And I do want to bring up a success story that we had. I'm not going to name the customer, but for months, if not years, we had a very big OEM investigating the ability to add the PaR technologies onto their existing cranes. And they had trouble justifying some of the cost based off of what they wanted inside the plants. But the main thing for this customer was the safety of their operators. And unfortunately, an incident happened inside the plant that made them quickly invest into the PaR operator system. So we really think this is great technology. A lot of people go down that route of, this is great, we love it, we would love to integrate some of this into our system, but yeah, there's a cost associated to it. So our question's really back to you is, as our customers, you know, what's the cost of a safety incidents when it comes to overhead technology and getting the anti-sway and productivity and obviously reduced maintenance cost to you when it comes to overhead crane systems. So we got one more question to you. It looks like that will end our time here, but one of the big questions is there really no sensors a part of this system?
Well, on the ExpertOperator product, there are no sensors. That's sort of the foundation that you have to put in. ExpertOperator does the anti-sway component without any feedback as to load height, you know, with nothing from encoders, nothing from load sensing or anything like that. With the more advanced additions we have, Safe Move, Auto Move, and Crane Vision, there we are adding sensors. We'd add the lasers for Safe Move and Crane Vision, or Safe Move and Auto Move. And then in the case of Crane Vision, we add a machine vision camera that is monitoring the hook. And then that allows us to do snag detection, side load detection, and some other features that Crane Vision has. So base product, sensor, absolutely sensorless. Advanced products, we do add them in.
And of course, the question on that, Ron, is we can obviously upgrade in the future if we just buy the basic program and then want to add more components and technology on later, correct?
You can, but as I indicated before, once, you know, if there is a slight inefficiency that comes into that of the additional services that you'd have to do. Because there is a services component for installation and commissioning, you then that becomes a redundant cost if you're going back to add in later. But absolutely, you can do that. We've got a couple of good long-term customers that are looking at going through that upgrade process now. And if that's the best thing for your plant and your budget, then that's fine.
Well, Ron, we do appreciate your time at Rhino Toolhouse. Thanks for being a great partner for us. We don't have any more questions and answers, so we'll end it out with make sure you're staying safe. All of these videos are uploaded onto our Rhino Toolhouse YouTube site. More coming on a daily basis. We are going to continue this up until May 8th as the time being. And then hopefully after that, we're getting back inside your doors and we're introducing this product to you in person. Stay safe out there. God bless. Have a great Rhino Toolhouse day. Thank you all.
Thanks, Justin.